are delighted to have you with us to participate and share in the noble status of Mary and Jesus in the eyes of the Holy Quran. We are honored to have Kathy Merchant, Dr. Said Nasir Zaidi, and Pastor Anya as our guests. Um, all, all three are esteemed specialists in their own field. Let us begin of Holy Quran by Brother Said Rouhani and followed by the English translation by Sister Aj Zaidi. Please.
Hello everybody. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فتقبلها ربها بقبول حسن وأنبتها نباتا حسنا وكفلها زكريا كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزقا قال يا مريم أنى لك هذا قالت هو من عند الله إن الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب وإذ قالت الملائكة يا مريم إن الله اصطفاك وطهرك واصطفاك على نساء العالمين وإذ قالت الملائكة يا مريم إن الله يبشرك بكلمة منه اسمه المسيح عيسى ابن مريم وجيها في الدنيا والآخرة ومن المقربين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. So her Lord accepted her with good acceptance and caused her to grow in a good manner and put her in the care of Zechariah. Every time Zechariah entered upon her in the prayer chamber, he found with her provision. He said, O Mary, from where is this coming to you? She said, It is from Allah, indeed. Allah provides for whom He wills without account. And when the angel said, O Mary, indeed Allah has chosen you and purified you and chosen you above the women of the worlds. When the angel said, Allah gives you good tidings of a word from Him, whose name will be the Messiah, Jesus, the Son of Mary, distinguished in this world and the hereafter, and among those brought near to Allah. Sadaqallahu al-Ali al-Azim.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, appreciate that. Now I'd like to invite Kathy Merchant to share her thoughts with us. Before I bring her here, I would like to mention briefly about her accomplishments. Kathy Merchant is the founder and minister in training of the Living Interfaith Sanctuary in Vancouver, British Columbia. She worked as the Associate Minister of the Living Interfaith Church for 3 years before moving to Canada in 2017 with her family. Kathy is a Mahayan Buddhist who is married to an Ismaili Muslim and who has dedicated her life to living interfaith. Prior to working at Living in Interfaith, Kathy specialized in conflict resolution pertaining to the Israel-Palestinian conflict. She worked for the Compassionate Listening Project, the American Friends of the Parents Circle Families Forum, and interned at the Council on American Islamic Relations. In 2013, Kathy received her master's degree in the Middle East. She is currently studying at the Vancouver School of Theology. We where she hopes to complete her master's in divinity degree by 2020. Please welcome her, the Kathy Merchant. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Can you all hear me okay? Thank you. So as he mentioned, I'm the founder and minister in training of the Living Interfaith Sanctuary in Vancouver, BC. Actually, my mentor and minister, Reverend Stephen Greenebaum, is here in the audience, so you could always talk to him later. And he started this idea of living interfaith. And it's the idea that people from different traditions can come together, not only for events like this, where we can learn about one another and hear about each other's path and scriptures, but we can also worship together and work together on projects in the community, so we can have unity in multiple levels. And that's what Stephen's been doing here in the Linwood community, where the Living Interfaith Church is. And I used to work there, and now I've started a branch community in Vancouver. And it's really amazing to see what happens when you bring people from multiple traditions together and say, I think we can even worship together. And one of the first things people will ask is, well, how does that work? Because isn't there this assumed idea that your own tradition is the correct tradition? You have the right belief, and the other ones are incorrect. So even if you can learn about them and kind of edify yourself in that way, how can you possibly worship together? And we like to say that it's a lot like celebrating somebody's birthday. That when you go to somebody else's birthday, you don't sit there upset that you're not celebrating your own birthday, but you're actually fully there with them. You're present, and you get to take in everything that they offer and just appreciate them fully. And I feel like this is the kind of energy that we have here as we're learning about each other. And I think that's becoming the future of interfaith, is in every way, as our friends, as our partners. As he mentioned, I'm a Mahayana Buddhist, but my partner is an Ismaili Muslim, and we raise our kids to we go to mosque together, but then they also come to the interfaith church with me, and I'm teaching them how to meditate. And we can have this full respect and understanding of each other, not because everything is the same, because if we sort of reduce it down and say, well, we're only going to talk about what's the same, then you lose all that wonderful richness. And that's something I feel very blessed about. In the Mahayana tradition, one of the complaints people have had is they say it's almost like syncretism, where you're saying, well, everything can just mesh, and then you lose what's wonderful about them. But I don't think that's true. I think that when you bring people together and you say, oh, this is so interesting, let's examine like the Christian understanding of Mary and Jesus. And in the same night, we can go through and imagine the Islamic understanding of Mary and Jesus. And then we can sort of have them there at the same time. I think that you can learn things in a deeper way when you're experiencing them all together in this kind of thing, rather than it's a popular term now, siloing ourselves, saying like, well, only the people who think this way have to be here, and the people who think this way have to be over here. And I think it's this wonderful thing when you can bring people together and foster goodwill, so that you don't have events or a kind of service that's automatically turns into a debate where there's no goodwill. But if you have this understanding that you're coming with love, and you can say, oh, that's so interesting. I've never thought of Mary and Jesus that way. I've never thought of praying that way. I feel like that's something that I've been getting to do a lot of over the last 2 years as I've been in a Christian seminary. And even my favorite thing recently has been learning about the Trinity, and how my own understanding of the Trinity was so reductive and actually incorrect. The way I thought I knew it before I started studying at the seminary is not how it actually was. But by attending these classes and spending lots of time with Christians and really listening with an open heart, I think that there's so much amazing, just this wonderful idea of God as being a society within God's self, the society of love, and that humans are like that too, and so we're all naturally in relationship with each other. I think that's beautiful. And that wasn't at all how I understood the Trinity before. And for me, it took me having to go to a Christian seminary to learn that, I'm sorry to say. But I don't think that we all need that. I think that if we come to events like this, if we listen to people who've been studying this stuff for years, like Nasir, who you'll hear later, and if we just come with this kind of openness and this goodwill and this love for each other, I think if we have that respect and just really stop and listen, I think it's amazing what we can learn about each other. And I think that that will just better us. That'll better our friendships. That'll better our own understanding. We'll understand each other not in a kind of academic way that's removed from how people practice, but really understand it in this authentic way. And I think that that's the future and what needs to be the future. So I'm very grateful to everyone who's here tonight. And I hope we'll continue to do this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. It was really, really nice sharing your life experience with us. Now we have Dr. Said Nasir Zedi. Just giving you a little brief introduction about Dr. Zedi. Is a Muslim. Dr. Zedi is a Muslim chaplain at University of British Columbia. He conducts programs that encourage intellectual and healthy discussion between various religious groups. He also works as a research scholar at Research Institute of Spirituality and Ethics, we call it RISE, which explores the role of Islamic spirituality and ethics from an academic perspective. He has participated in several national and international conferences and has published more than 50 articles. He has lectured on Islamic thoughts and principles for over 20 years. Wow, it's amazing accomplishment. Born and raised in Pakistan, Dr. Zedi received his master's degree in Arabic and Islamic studies from Pakistan. He later moved to Iran, where he received his master's and doctorate in Islamic philosophy and theology from the University of Tehran, Iran. Dr. Zedi also holds a diploma in psychosocial rehabilitation from Douglas College in Vancouver, British Columbia. Please join me to welcome Dr. Said Nasir Zedi. Thank you, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First of all, I appreciate organizers of this program who organized tonight's program, which is very important, and the topic is, and especially at the eve of Christmas. So I am always talking to my community that whenever we have special days, so it's good for us to convert it into the interfaith program. And whenever we have some common days and we are celebrating, it's good to invite our Christian community, Jews community, so they can also share and they can also just explain for us whatever they can offer, and we can learn from them and we can establish a kind of dialogue. So I'm so happy today because this is a Christmas day, although we Muslims are not celebrating Christmas, but it's our honor that we are able to establish such a program that we can invite each other on the common grounds. So common values, common grounds are always very important, and then we can really discuss a lot and we can share each other. Similarly, we have some other days which are very auspicious days and very important for us. For example, on the 14th of Shaban, we are celebrating the birth anniversary of Imam Mahdi, who is the savior of mankind. So when we say savior of mankind, the one who is perfect man, who will come to save the humanity. So this concept is very close to the concept of Christianity as well. So they have also concept of like about Jesus Christ, that he will come one day and save this whole humanity or whatever they have in their mind. So this is very common topic. And it would be great that if we have, for example, these kind of common programs. Similarly, we have another very important program which is related to the Prophet of Muhammad when he announced his prophecy. So we are always talking and discussing about the philosophy and wisdom behind the prophecy in Islam and in religion, because we have a question why we need prophet, why what their role is, what role they are playing in our life, so how we can take benefit. So when we talk about prophethood in Islam or in Quran, so this is not our topic, this is common topic. So Christians must answer this, why prophet should be there, why we cannot live without prophet, so how we can take benefit from prophets of God. So similarly, we have to have this program. I'm so happy that we are establishing, as my colleague Catherine also mentioned, that we are establishing such a good tradition, and then hopefully we will have more program, and these program will be very productive. Today I am going to discuss the position and the place of Mary, or we say Maryam, in the view of Quran. So we have whole stories, several stories related to Mary and Jesus Christ as well. So I will not be able to cover all these aspects, but just we want to go over some slides, and you will see that what Quran is saying, and there are some moral and ethical and spiritual messages also. For example, when Quran is focusing on different stories of prophets of God, so stories of Quran, maybe Bible is also the same. The stories of Quran are full of messages, moral, ethical messages. In the story of Maryam, God just reminds Prophet Muhammad that you should remember, you should recall the story of Mary. So why God is just saying to Prophet Muhammad that you should learn something from this, you should recall, you should remember what happened in the past. So this is why these stories of Quran is very important. And when we are discussing the teachings of prophets, so we can learn a lot. Even for our daily life, we are facing problems, difficulties, and challenges. So we can really take benefit from them. And these are very common, even if something is in the Quran. So if there is any ethical or moral principle, so this is good for everyone. It's not related to Muslim. Similarly, if we have something in Bible, and then you are saying that's good moral, ethical, or theological issue, and we need to learn, so we should take benefit from this. So sometimes when we are so prejudiced, so we are keeping ourselves away from each other, and we are depriving ourselves from taking benefit from each other. So the first thing is that I want to mention that Mary is one of the four greatest women in the history. So we have the saying of Prophet Muhammad. So there are four women who are the greatest in all time. So first one is the wife of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who is Khadija. Second is the daughter of Prophet Muhammad, who is Fatima. The third is Maryam, Mary. And the fourth is wife of Pharaoh, the Asiya. So these four women are the greatest, and this is why Quran gave a lot of honor to Mary, and she holds a great spiritual position we see in the Quran. So first thing is, so please next, I have to see that they have changed or not. Okay. So now this story starts from here. This is from chapter number 3, verse number 35. Remember when Imran's wife prayed to her Lord, saying, I have vowed that what is in my womb will be devoted exclusively for you. So accept it from me. You certainly, you are the all-hearing and all-knowing. So Imran was the father of Mary, and he died when she was just pregnant. And then she took she made pledge, or just she just had this vow that if I bring forth this child, so I will devote this one and dedicate this child to serve God or to worship in the house of God, Jerusalem. So this is what story we have in the beginning. So first thing is we understand the spiritual status of Mother of Mary. There are some places where Quran is emphasizing on the role of women very positively, especially. For example, when we see that Moses was saved, the 3 women were involved to rescue Moses at that time. So one was the mother of Moses, the second was the sister of Moses, the third was the wife of Pharaoh. So these 3 women were already involved. Similarly here, when we see the story of Jesus Christ, we see that 2 women were involved. Their purification and their high level of dignity and honor and spiritual status was very important here. So Mary and her mother. So we see that she vowed for this one, and this was kind of inspiration also, divine inspiration, that she is ready to devote her like daughter for the worshiping and to serve God. So this kind of, we see that she had the divine inspiration, and then she came to know that she need to have this kind of vow. And then, so this is not, we cannot say it as an unusual thing. So next, please. Yeah, we see the important points. I don't want to give more details about that. Mary's mother devoted her child exclusively for the worship of God, and she was expecting to deliver male child. This is very interesting thing. When, for example, she is like making pledge, or she is having this vow that she is going to exclusively devoting her child for the worship of God. So this child should be male, because the physical requirements and the social requirement doesn't allow that for any daughter or female child. But she was just expecting this. Quran is not mentioning. Why she was just thinking that she is going to deliver male child. But all of a sudden, when she sees that, I brought forth this female child, so how she can be in the house of God, and she can be there? It's not possible. So this was very astonishing for her. And then this is why she says she was expecting to deliver male child. And then acceptance from God is also important. And she's also saying, we will come back to this point again, she's also saying this was the higher level of faith in God, that, oh God, accept this vow from me. So acceptance of vow is again very important aspect in this story. And she showed her firm belief in God. So next, please. So when she delivered her, she said, oh my Lord, I have delivered a female child. So you see that she is just expressing her kind of sorrow, and she was regretful that now how I can fulfill my pledge. So what will happen? So she is now female, how I can send her to the house of God. So this is why, and God knew better what she had delivered. Now these are the words of God. These are not words of the mother of Mary. God says to her mother that, and God knew better what she had delivered. You should not be astonished about that. You should not be regretful, because she was in grief, and she was expressing her sadness, and she was in need of support. The importance of support is also, we can see here, that if someone is in grief, someone is facing problems and difficulties, so support is always important. Even God is supporting his prophets in Quran, that if they are like in hardships, or they are disappointed, if they have any problem, if they are like helpless, so God is there to strengthen their heart, to encourage them. So encouraging other, appreciating other, and supporting other is again another aspect that we can see from this story. So God says to the mother of Mary, and God knew better what she had delivered. What you have delivered, I know that this is daughter, this is not son. And the male was not like the female. Now these wordings are important. So God says the male is not like the female. The male you were expecting, male is not like the female, the daughter that which is going to bring forth like Jesus Christ, and she will become the mother of a great prophet of God. So you sometimes we have this understanding. If you please go to the next, so you will see first of all the important points, and then we will see the message. So God says male was not like the female, and if Mary's mother had to say this, she would have said female cannot be like male. There is a kind of controversy between commentators of Quran whether these words are from mother of Mary or from God. So if it was from the mother of Mary, so she should have said female cannot be like male. So because I gave birth to female, so female cannot be like male. I was expecting male. But if God is saying, so God is saying that female, your male cannot be like female. So we have this one. And God conveyed the message to her that you don't understand that the male you were expecting cannot be like this female child. So we have in this, and then important point is, you may not, the next please. You may not like something which in fact is for your good, and something that you may love in fact may be evil. God knows, but you do not know. So we have this beautiful verse, and then this is not related to Muslims. Everyone can take benefit, and it is all the time happening, and we are experiencing in our life. For example, sometimes we think something is good for us, and then we are looking forward to, we want to get this thing, we want to do this, but this is not in our favor. This is not good for us. This may be harmful for us. And so many things in our life, we think that these things are bad for us, not good for us, but actually these things are good for us. So similarly, God says to her mother that you were thinking that female child is not good or not better at this point, but the male child was better. But you don't know. You don't know about the important, the values and the worth and the spiritual status, and then divine plan about this daughter. So this aspect is, again, we have in the story of Quran. Next, please. And then we see in the verse, like chapter 336, verse number 36, I have named her Maryam. So we say it Maryam. The meaning of Maryam is, again, we will have this one. And we have to correct this one. So mother of Mary says, I pray you will keep her and her offspring safe from Satan. She is praying now. You know that she is not only praying for her daughter, but she is also praying for the offspring of her daughter. At that time, when Mary just born, and then she is just, when she is praying, it means there is kind of divine inspiration for her. She was already known by God or somewhere else that there will be an offspring for this daughter, which will be very important. This is why she is just praying that, oh God, save and protect this daughter and the progeny of this daughter as well. So this aspect is also we have in the Quran. And then next, so the important points, she named her Maryam, which means a worshipping lady. So Maryam means worshipping lady. And so this kind of naming had been a sign of ultimate love and affection of that pure mother for dedicating her dear child alongside the path of the servitude of Allah. And the third is, that is why after performing this auspicious naming, she asked the Lord to protect this child and the progeny that would come into being from her thereafter from the temptations of Satan, and keep them in his merciful shelter. Next, please. And now we see what God says. So her Lord accepted her. She was praying that, oh God, accept my this child. Very interesting point is that, for example, if we make any vow, so this is just normally we want something reward for this one. And we have concern whether this will be accepted by God or not. But this vow is totally different. And she's thinking about the daughter, that, oh God, accept this daughter. So acceptance, there are two types of acceptance. When we talk in Islamic theology and in Quran, there are three levels of acceptance. So first level is, for example, I go to church, I go to mosque, when I pray. So my prayer may be correct. There is no issue in it. So according to the rituals, so I am performing it. But this may not be acceptable. This must be accepted. So correctness is different from acceptance. The second level is maybe God is accepting my prayers, my action. But the third level is God is accepting myself, accepting the human being. This is the highest level. About prophets, God says that I have accepted them, and for this world and in the day of judgment. About Jesus Christ, God says the same. So we see, and again God says that not only I have accepted your daughter, then he says, and made her grow a good growth. And God says, I will not only I'm accepting it, but I will accept it in the most beautiful manner. In the best way I have accepted it. So this is very strange aspect of this story, that God is saying, and we don't have these kind of words for any other personality in the Quran, only and only for Mary. That God is saying, I will grow her like as we grow plants. For example, if we scattered seeds, so we know that there is a potential, and gardener should be there and must be very careful about everything. So similarly, God says that I will grow like plant. I will take care of this like Mary. And then why? Because she's going to bring forth, she's going to deliver like Jesus Christ. So mother should also be very purified. And there is a special attention of God, and we see that he's going to grow her, and he trained her well, and in all circumstances in her life improved her affairs nicely. So next please. And this is why we see that there was a prophet, Zechariah. So Zechariah was given, she was given in the custody of, he was the caretaker of Mary, and then he basically took care of her. And then we see in the Quran, a lot of verses are there, then how the relationship between prophet of God and Mary. And we say that whenever he used to visit her in the house of God, and Mary was always praying and worshiping, and he used to see the seasonal fruits besides her. And whenever he's asking, so who brought this? So he says it's from God. And he noticed this miraculous aspect. And this is why this motivated this prophet of God, because at that time he didn't have any child. And then he learned from this miracle that if Maryam can get this kind of food, so it means God can also give me a child. Although I am very old and my wife is not able to produce child, but I am hopeful, and then God can do with me also this kind of miracle. So you see the relationship between the prophet of God and Mary we see in the Quran. Next please. So this is why this is a prayer of Zechariah, that he prayed to his Lord, "O my Lord, grant me from your own power a goodly progeny. Indeed, you are the one who listens to the prayers." Next please. Now we see there are some other qualities in the Quran. Again, chapter number 3, verse number 43. First quality of Mary we see in the Quran, that the angels told Mary. The place and the position of angels in the Quran or in Islam and Islamic theology is little bit different from Christianity. So they are infallible. They are totally different creation. They are not like human being. There is very less interaction. So they cannot come in this world in the physical form. So angels have very high status, and they are intermediating each and everything. What is happening in this world? This is through the angels. And for everything, God has appointed an angel. So angels have different position, and when angels are talking to someone, it means one must have the highest level of spirituality and righteousness. Only few prophets of God we have in the history that the angels are talking to them. So same thing we see in the Quran, that angels are several times they are coming before and manifesting themselves to Mary and talking to Mary. And then we see that angels told Mary, God had chosen you, purified you. Chosen you, this is just a translation in English. We cannot translate it. This is from Arabic. Arabic is, the word is istafa. The meaning of istafa is chosen person mean. For example, there are two things. One is these like purified things or impurified. So we are separating which are pure from impure. So when you are separating from pure from impure, and you are basically protecting this thing, we say it is tafa. So Maryam or Mary, God says that we have chosen you. It means that anything which is bad, anything which is evil cannot come close to you. You know, this is a totally different perspective. For example, for ourselves, if we are good person, so we are trying to keep ourselves away from evil things. And we have to do this. But sometimes God says that I am involved in it. I am engaged in it. I will not let the evil thing come close to you. This is what Quran is saying. Because we have already this, she had chosen you, and second, purified you. What is the meaning of purification here? So we have another concept of infallibility. It means that we believe that Mary was like other prophets of God. She was purified. She never committed any sin in her life. And not only from her side, but the God's involvement and engagement and special protection was also there. This was part of the divine plan that we say that Mary was purified and given you distinction over all women. Now distinction also given the greatest woman in the universe. So we also see in the Quran, these are the three characteristics that we see. So Mary, now pray devotedly to your Lord, prostrate yourself before him, and bow down with those who bow down before him. And you see that now God is mentioning another beautiful aspect. Now, for example, if we are blessed with something and we have bounties and blessings of God, so God is also expecting something from us. For example, if I want to help you, if I want to give you something, if you are in need of me and I want to help you, so I am also expecting something from you. What is my expectations? I may expect you, at least you should appreciate me. I will expect you that at least that you are thankful to me, you are grateful to me. So similarly, God says to Mary, now you are blessed with all these qualities. You are given all this, you are purified, you are chosen, you are going to be the mother of Jesus Christ, such a great prophet. Then now I expect you to thankful to me, to appreciate me. You should now prostrate, you should now worship, you should be now praying to, because if we are unthankful to the blessings, then we will become more arrogant, then we will become more proud, then this is morally and ethically, this may not be a good thing. So this is why whenever we have any blessing, we learn from this story that thankfulness and praying before God when we understand that this is from God, so I will not become arrogant, I will not become proud, I will not feel that I am superior over other people, because everything is coming from God. Anything is helping me, anything is good, which is blessing for me. So I should be always thankful. Nothing is from me. So if I feel that, no, I deserve for this, and then I will become proud. Then I will become arrogant. But if I know that if I get something in my life which is related to my achievement, which is related to my success, then I should be thankful to God, because everything is coming from God's side. So this is the concept that we have. Next, please. And then important point is the word chosen means to separate something from the impurities, and God's special attention to Mary. And Mary was purified from the sins, and Mary was given distinction over all women. Next. And Mary was ordered to be grateful to God for his blessings. Blessings should bring humbleness of heart. All this shows God's special attention to Mary. And when Jesus was in cradle, he became the testifier of the chastity of Mary. So these are the some important points related to the story of Mary in the Quran. So hope we will be able to continue these kind of programs, and we will take benefit from each other. And I expect that from Christian scholars, they should also tell us about what they have about the Mary or Jesus Christ in the Bible, so we can also take benefit from them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zaidi. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. Finally, Pastor Anya. She's just a fascinating person, and we were all in here for a treat today, aren't we? She's a very cooperative person with Husayniah and a wonderful person, and I would really like to invite her to share some of the words with us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I think also I wanted to ask, when I saw an agenda earlier, it included a Q&A. Was that supposed to happen now?
You can go ahead and give you that.
Okay, so afterwards, so there'll be a chance for you all to ask your questions, and I have a microphone here that I'm happy to be the one to kind of take around if you want when it's time, in case anyone has questions for our doctor. I just want to say first, I'm so thrilled to see all of you here. So I am the pastor here at Northlake Lutheran Church, and when Zara first mentioned to me this idea of having a talk on Jesus and Mary in the Quran, I was thrilled to try and do that with her. And Zara, I think, and probably others from the Husayniah Society did all of the work. And when she asked me to speak, I wasn't really sure what I would say. I thought I would make it quick. I did want to tell you a little bit why it's important to me to be engaged in these interfaith relations. So I grew up in an interfaith family. My father was Jewish and my mother was Christian. And as I grew up, I really didn't, my father very much wanted me to learn and understand both faiths, and he actually encouraged me to try and learn more about other faiths as well, so that I could figure out for myself what was calling for me. And what ended up happening is for a very long time, I wasn't sure that any of them were the right fit for me. And I had a desire to learn more about other faiths as well, but I actually didn't end up doing that. But as I continued and eventually felt a call to Christianity, but I also had a respect for so many other faiths and understandings. And I've always had a desire to learn more, especially when it comes to the Abrahamic faiths, and that would be Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. I think because there's just so much shared in that heritage. And then also I'd be fascinated to learn more about others as well. So I'm just thrilled to be able to partner, and I would love for us to be able to start building a truly interfaith community where we get to know one another by name, by face, and so that it's not just someone walking and saying, oh, that person's wearing a hijab, that they must be Muslim. It's actually, oh no, that's someone I know, her name is, and getting to know the personalities, our strengths, our weaknesses, all those kinds of things. So my hope is that this is just part of a longer journey that we can all be part of together as we get to know each other and as we get to know each other's faiths, and get to know each other on a deeper level as well. So I think that's all. And just thank you very much for coming. I believe afterwards there's also food downstairs, but I guess we'll move to the Q&A.
Okay, let's begin with the Q&A session. If anybody has any questions, refer to Dr. Zaidi. We have Pastor Anya, Kathy Merchant. Anyone have any questions for either one of those speakers? No questions?
You were talking about the mother of Mary. Is it on?
Well, it was turned on. Oh, they turned it off.
Yes, you were talking about the mother of Mary. I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but as a Christian, I was not aware in the Bible of any mention of Mary's mother. But obviously,
the Quran clearly mentioned.
It's clearly mentioned.
Yes, the wife of Imran. Her husband was Imran.
Okay.
So
I found that very interesting because I totally unfamiliar with it.
If we don't have in Bible, so I really don't know. But we have this accurately in the Quran that I mentioned.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I can tell you, in the Christian Bible, there's nothing in there about Mary's mother. I understand, though, is it correct? I just learned this today. Is it correct that there's an entire chapter in the Quran that's devoted to Mary?
Yeah.
Um,
So this is another aspect that more than 70 times, first of all, this is the only name mentioned in the Quran, any woman's name. Only Maryam's name is mentioned. No other woman is mentioned. Name, first thing. Second thing is whole chapter is in the name of Mary. We have in the Quran, of course, yeah.
Can you further this story by telling us how? I'll try and stay with it. Jesus comes into being beyond this point in the cradle. Where does Jesus become a prophet in the Muslim faith?
Sorry, you can repeat your question again. So you're talking about the prophecy of Jesus.
Can you further the story? Can you tell us how Jesus becomes a prophet beyond this point in the Muslim faith?
Yeah, so basically because of lack of time, so I was not able to just continue. This story is related to whatever Jesus Christ, and we have in the Quran that when she presented her baby to the community, and they similarly we have in Bible. So they basically the community accused her that why we have and you did not have any husband or you didn't marry. So why you have this one? And they were accusing this one. And she never answered. Mary didn't answer. And she just pointed out to Jesus Christ who was in the cradle. And then he testified and he said that I am the servant of God, number one. And then he said I am the prophet of God, number two. And then he said that and then I am God has already appointed me, and then he. So basically, the miraculous aspect is he was the only prophet we have in the Quran who spoke in cradle when he was just this newborn baby. So from here we start the story of Jesus Christ in the Quran. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
You said there were only 4 women's names were mentioned in the Quran?
Not in the Quran. So we have 2 sources basically. When we talk about Islamic laws, we have 2 sources. One is Quran and second is tradition of Prophet Muhammad. So we have sayings of Prophet Muhammad, and then in one of the saying of Prophet, we see that he's saying that 4 women are the greatest women in all time. So one of them was Mary. Because otherwise there will be an issue for us that because the daughter of Prophet Muhammad was Fatima, so we believe that she was the greatest of all women. So then we have to just pay attention to all these aspects. Quran is mentioning only Mary, and we have sayings of Prophet, and then we have already theological discussion here. But at this stage, I would say that we have from Prophet, he's saying that one of the 4 women is Mary. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Any other questions? We've got the same 2 people.
You also mentioned the 3 women with Moses. The mother of Moses, the sister of Moses, and the Pharaoh's wife. And did I understand correctly, the Pharaoh's wife is also considered one of the 4 great women?
So if we go to the history, and we, because we don't have any kind of criteria to really understand that how one can be the greatest one, because we understand only their spiritual status, their spiritual, moral, ethical, theological, from all aspects, one should be the greatest one. So when we go into the history, we see the wife of Prophet who was Khadija, and then we see about her sayings and actions, the way she supported Prophet Muhammad. So we can little bit understand from there, she is the greatest one. Similarly, the daughter of Prophet, we have a lot of sayings about her, we have a lot of teachings from her, and then we have whole theology. If we go into them, we will understand that she so deserves to be called like one of the greatest women in the universe. Yeah.
I'd like to comment on his question. His question was about Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh. And he was asking you about 3 women who helped save the life of Prophet Musa. That is the mother of Musa, sister of Musa, and Pharaoh's wife, Asiya. Yes.
Yeah, again,
please can you comment?
Yeah, again, if we see, I said that we cannot understand ourselves, our intellect or wisdom doesn't work about that we can say that one of the best who may be or may not be. But we can little bit understand from the history. Quran narrated some beautiful wordings from the Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh. So she was suppressed, and she was brutally beaten by Pharaoh, and then she was facing a lot of hardships in her life, and there was transgression and she was very oppressed. And then her prayer is basically we have in the Quran, and she is saying that, oh God, give me a house in the paradise beside you. I don't want paradise. I want paradise. I want my house in the paradise, but you should also be there. Your presence should also be there. And then she says in the Quran that we have in Arabic that وَنَجِّنِي مِنْ فِرْعَوْنَ وَعَمَلِهِ, that rescue me from Pharaoh and from the acts of Pharaoh. Those who are acting like Pharaoh, rescue me from them, protect me from them also. So these wordings are very, very strong. Shows the highest level of Asiya. Again, if we say one of the greatest, this is only because of the saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes. Wow, we're expanding out now.
In the Christian scriptures, there are several incidents that help tell stories of the interaction between Jesus Christ and Mary. Are there stories also in the Islamic scriptures about this interaction?
Yeah, we have to have at least 2-3 programs. Then I can mention all these stories, because at the time of from Mary, so we see that there is another 2 or 3 stories related to Mary or Maryam, and then there are stories about Jesus Christ. I remember that I gave lecture on the moral and ethical characteristics of Jesus Christ in the Islamic scriptures. So we have lot of beautiful material and stories about Jesus Christ and the miraculous aspect of Jesus Christ. So we have all this, and maybe another time I will just explain.
Am I correct in thinking, I believe that in the in Islam it is understood that Jesus did perform miracles, did healings, things like that? Is that correct?
Who?
Jesus.
Yeah. So so this was miraculous aspect that Jesus was just born, and he's testifying, and he's just defending his mother, and then saying that I am the servant of God, I am prophet of God. So he's just mentioning I am the wajihan in the law that recited in the Quran, that I am the most honorable, and then he says that I am blessing for wherever I am. I am blessing for people. People are taking benefit from me. A lot of things are mentioned, but this aspect is from the miraculous aspect. We have only this aspect, that we can't expect any newborn baby to speak like, claim that I'm prophet or eat this or that. Yeah.
But it wasn't just that, so that's his first miracle. But there were others as he.
Yes, he was curing the blind people, and then these 2 miracles are especially very important for Jesus Christ, that he was curing people in his time, and this was his main miracle mentioned by the Quran, that he was like physician, or like he was curing people and just treating. So Moses has different miracles, Prophet Muhammad has different, and Jesus Christ we have at least these 2. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay. Well, now I'd like to give me the mic, please. Anya.
Can you turn on the left-hand side?
Okay. Oh yeah, there you go. Now I would like to invite Dr. Masood, who is a vice president of Husayniah. He would going to like to present a gift to the Pastor Anya on behalf of Husayniah. It's a small token of appreciation from us.
She's very anxious.
He said gift.
Thank
Of course I
you.
do.
I don't know what we did before these phones were invented. Now you can't do anything without them. Well, I just want to take a few minutes to thank various people that made this evening possible. First of all, I've never met her before, but I want to thank Kathy Merchant for taking her time and sharing her thoughts with our group. I think it's very important that we have this kind of gathering and have an interchange and try to understand each other's religion. A lot of people are surprised when they find that Muslims believe in Christ. As a matter of fact, there's a joke. Long time ago, I used to do the same kind of thing. I used to speak. And at a gathering, I met a gentleman and told them that just we believed in Christ. So the next time I met him, he had his wife with him. And so he introduced me to her and said, oh, he's a Christian. And the poor lady got all flabbergasted and said, no, he's a Muslim. And he said, no, he's a Christian. He believes in Christ. So I said, no, he's right. I am, and you are right too. I am a Muslim, and I do believe in Christ. As a matter of fact, if you don't believe in Christ, we are not Muslims. That's how important Christ is to us. So it's very important that we understand each other's religions and each other's beliefs, and these gatherings are a good source for that. So I want to thank you, Kathy, very much for coming from all the way from Canada to Rennie, Washington. I don't know if it's snowing over there or not. I also want to thank Dr. Nasser Zaidi. We've known each other for some time, and he did a wonderful job today. And again, as he mentioned, that even though our title was Mary and Jesus in the Quran, but because of the time limitations, he was not able to cover much about Jesus, which may be nice so that we can have another meeting like that. But what I think you need to take from his talk is that Mary and Jesus are two very important people in Islam, and they are highly regarded. So that was, I think, was just of his speech. He gave a lot of verses from Quran, and I really do want to thank him very much for coming actually it's almost a short notice for him because he's very busy, and he was able to take his time, drive all the way from Vancouver to this gathering and present or be with us today. You know, I also want to thank the church. I'll come to you later. We have been in this church for almost about 6-7 months. And we could not carry on our practice of different meetings. We meet every Friday here if it weren't for this church. Our people like it. The church gives us the facility and help that we need. And we are so attached to it, or I should say our community is so attached to this church that during one of our celebration or commemorations, I should say, this church was not available for 12 consecutive nights because we had to have so we had to go to another church. And as soon as those 12 days were finished, we were bombarded with the request, no, we got to go back to that old church. So that's how you have spoiled us. So I said, I want to thank everybody here associated with the church. And again, before I come to Pastor Anja, there's one other person that I want to thank. You haven't seen him, but he was running the show from the booth. Ken has been a really big help to us. I can call him and at 11th hour, and he will be happy to come to help me or help the group. Like today, we don't know, we had not been here with about one presentation, so we asked him and he came and he ran the show. He could have just said, okay, try to figure out yourself, but he's very helpful. And so I said, Ken, are you here? Yeah. I do want to thank you very much on behalf of Husayniah Islamic Society. Thank you. And now all these things that I talked to you about the church, the credit of doing all these things goes to Pastor Anja. She is very accommodating to us. She's involved in this, in our group. And we have had some, beside this gathering, we had some other events that we've done with church. This summer we had a picnic. very well attended and very well liked. And I think we'll plan to do that some more. We also had a feed the homeless. And I think I list some other, let's see. And I think there are a couple of other programs that we have done with this church. And it's because of our openness and our willingness to accommodate us and help us out and share each other's beliefs. And not only among ourselves, but also with the other people, that these kind of meetings are possible. So I want to thank, on behalf of Husayniah, to you and to you, the rest of your church people. And before I come to the event that she's been waiting for, I also want to thank one other person. And just like Pastor Anja, we have a person who needs to be thanked. Unfortunately, she could not be here tonight because of it's her husband's birthday. So she had to be with him. And she is one remarkable lady, as you know. Even though it was today's her husband's birthday, but she came this afternoon, and all the arrangements that you see here or what you see downstairs, she made sure she did those all by herself. She came here, did that, so that everything is ready for tonight's program. So I do want to thank Zara Abidi setting up this program, and that was I call dedication. And she is one dedicated lady. And now, on behalf of the Husayniah Islamic Society, and especially on behalf of Zara Abidi, the Husayniah Islamic Society is pleased to present to Pastor Anja our centerpiece here. Now you can come.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I have to steal the mic for a moment. I just wanted to say thank you so much. There's no way that any of this would happen without Zara and without the partnership with the Husayniah group, and also without the council at the church and the congregation's support with all that we do as well. So it's just been absolutely wonderful, and I look forward to continuing our partnership as we go forward.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess that just concludes our program. Again, just thank you so much for coming in here and for participating in this event, and special thanks to our guest speakers. A complimentary dinner we have of Husayniah served downstairs. Please enjoy. And Dr. Zaidi said it all, basically. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Good night.